on the beach. Today we got a good show for you with a couple of movements in the rankings. We'll talk about our weekend's post schedule, our week 4 schedule, and then we will also talk about our week 5 schedule, which for me is a whole lot of nothing. But Colin, what did you see out of NCAA volleyball this week that you liked?
Yeah, well, I want to first note, Michael, I love that you said we have a great show in store for you without knowing at all what our it's terrible. I mean, this is a true one take. Michael and I both are going to enjoy nice bye weeks this week, so we're not eating. And so I think the brains are a little bit on spring break mode of like, yeah, we're training and yeah, we're taking our team through stuff, but we're not fully maybe engaged.
It felt like the right thing to say at the time.
It felt like, listen, I like speaking into existence. It's going to be a good show. I'm in for it. What am I going to keep talking about, though? Like 4-0s at the top, everybody kind of dominating, with the exception of we had a little West meets East, or it was just called the FAU Invitational, I think is what it was. But I'm gonna give Steve credit for his tournament down in Pompano.
Yeah.
SC, TCU, Georgia State, UAB, Florida Gulf. Shout out Chris Sweat. Must be on the unluckiest streak in history. I think he's 6 straight losses, 3-2 decided by less than 2 points a pop.
Yikes.
Like, I mean, my heart breaks for the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles, except for the fact that I know I have to play them at the end of the year. And that means that he's earning a lot of 3-2 dubs right now by taking 3-2 losses, and I don't want to be one of the 3-2 dubs. So but shout out to him. Shout out to TCU, who took down USC yesterday. I think that was Tuesday. That's going to earn them some points in the rankings. Obviously, they're third right now. For what it's worth, I still think LMU is the number 1 team in the country. I'm putting that out there. Full disclosure, I still think they deserve it, but UCLA is at the top. Stanford with not a light weekend, but they handled their business. And then Cal Poly also handling their business. We have a lot of midweeks this week. I think it's a lot of people's spring breaks.
Yeah.
Super fun. So we saw Boise State, Houston Christian, and San Jose play each other in San Luis Obispo. So I guess Todd let them use the courts, which I think is a super fun. San Jose hosted those matches, and San Jose got Houston Christian. I think Houston Christian and Boise State got them both. So I think it was a little 1-1, 2-0, and 0-2 day for those guys. So the Southland Conference has a couple of matches already before their midweek. Long Beach also having a strong tourney, who I think they have a midweek as well. But Michael, what are you seeing? I mean, it was a mess down at like 14 to 20 is just all over the place. What did you see?
Yeah, I think my game of the week last week was about Stetson and figuring out where Stetson kind of falls, because they had a huge jump in the rankings and they had a 1-3 weekend. I don't know what the conditions were at the courts and all of that. I haven't been able to go back and watch the film yet, but the only team they beat was Tampa, and that was a 3-2 finish. I mean, they ended up losing 2-3 to Georgia State in another close one, and then TCU, USC, obviously big teams right now. They got a court off of them, but watching them just kind of flip-flop places with North Florida, I thought that was a very favorable draw for Stetson after the weekend they had. I think FIU dropping all 4 this past weekend again against some pretty good teams, and UCLA, LMU, who are both fighting for that number 1 spot. You got Cal up there, and then Hawaii beating them 1-4. Hawaii getting back on the winners board. I think that was nice for them, but FIU dropping down from 19 to 20. You see a couple new teams in the receiving votes category. You got Utah coming up. They had a good weekend out at Stanford, only losing to Stanford, beating Corpus, who's been one of those receiving votes teams. You got Florida Gulf Coast, who's moving up into those receiving votes. They've had tough weekends, like you're saying, losing 2-3 by 2 points, but that's starting to be seen. I think UAB also getting the nod to get some receiving votes in there. They had a good weekend, beating Georgia State to open the weekend, and then that 2-3 loss against Florida Gulf Coast. I think that, again, you never know. But I think what the biggest, or one of the things I wanted to point out was Arizona State suffered to that not playing by weekend, dropping a spot again. So that's still happening in our sport, but UNF, they went the other way, so maybe it evens out where they didn't play this past weekend. They moved up a spot. I guess that kind of all works itself out in the end. Washington having a little bit of a disappointing weekend with their loss versus who was that?
Great. They lost to Grand Canyon.
They lost to Grand Canyon. Santa Clara was the other one that kind of bumped them a
That
little bit.
happened yesterday, right? That was
Yeah.
or 2 days ago, whatever. It was a Tuesday midweek. FIU also dropped a match yesterday or Tuesday, 2 days ago, to Cal State Northridge, and so I think FIU actually has a shot to remain ranked next week. They kind of are going to benefit from the fact that they're playing the West meets East event, even though they just played the East meets West event. So if they take a dub over a Grand Canyon and Arizona State, a Cal or an LMU, they're going to get a chance to stay in it. Shout out Texas, who did beat Cal, right? Cal is one of those few teams that had kind of taken down some of the top dogs. They were moving up. Texas just beat them out in Manhattan Beach. Stein Metzger got a little rematch against UCLA as an emotionally charged one. UCLA asserted their they did, but Texas, to their credit, came off that loss to UCLA and then decided to go 3-2 with LMU, winning at the top two pairs. Yeah. It's a hard spot to win against a top team, right? 1 and 2, and so they're doing nothing but getting stronger. So I'm excited to see how they do on their home sand against teams that are, Grand Canyon really strong at like the 4-5 right now. Arizona State pretty solid across the board, but has shown weak parts. Cal has shown an ability to get upset by Texas, and now they're playing again tomorrow, or this weekend, I should say. So that'll be exciting. And then obviously we've got a lot of other fun volleyball, but FIU's got a shot to stay in it. I agree. Florida Gulf, UAB, maybe even Tulane are going to be in a position to Tulane has a tougher time getting a chance to move up this week because they don't play the strongest of tournaments, right? They got Kingsville, Utah, Spring Hill at home. So I'm not sure that'll get them enough movement, but there'll be lots of room for the other guys to kind of jump up into that top 20 spot. And I think there'll be a spot available with Washington and FIU taking those midweek losses to some mid-major schools.
Yeah, going into this week, there's a lot of off teams this week. Not a whole lot of tournaments throughout the country. Who deserves to pull up that beach chair, though, and kind of look at it in a past glance of week 4 was great. Let's take a little break.
Yeah, I think they're not getting a break. They are playing 10 volleyball matches this week, but Cal State Northridge, the Matadors, my first ever coaching job was a volunteer there with Noel Rook, who's now at Pepperdine. They played over the weekend. They played just 2 matches. They had UTEP and Morehead State, who took a little Cali swing, took them both down. But then of note, on Tuesday, they took down Florida International. First ranked win for the Matadors. They also beat Colorado Mesa. And then at the time of recording, they played the Masters University and are in competition with Nebraska. It was, I think, 1-1 against Nebraska when I checked. I think Northridge will win that, but you never know. That could really ruin the week. But as of recording, we're giving our beach chair to Northridge. They're going out to the Big West Challenge this weekend. So like I said, hardly a breather. A 3-day bloodbath with Long Beach, Sac State, UC Davis, Bakersfield, Hawaii, and Cal Poly. I'm sure they're not going to get much of a break that week, but as of now, they definitely deserve to kick back and enjoy a beverage or two.
And another thing to note, we are in week 5, so this is the middle of our season. So to call these mid-year tournaments, I think we're okay now, right, Colin?
Yeah, I'm okay calling these all mid-year tournaments now. I'm in full support of week 5, the actual midpoint of the season being considered mid-year, even though it still feels like it could be the first weekend.
Yeah.
We're so fresh. Michael, speaking of week 4, how was?
Yeah, we ran into some weather issues like we were kind of alluding to last week on the show. We ended up getting that weather storm coming in through Alabama on Saturday. So this Saturday portion of the tournament got canceled. We had to adjust the Friday schedule. We were trying to get in 3 games for most of the teams. We ended up taking off a little bit earlier, but we did get to play Tusculum early on, 7:30 a.m. We got to play Tusculum, beat them 3-2, and then came back at about 1:45 to play Chattanooga. Ended up doing that in 2 decision, and we ended up running our 1s, 3s, and 5s in the first round. So we only got 3 sets in, and all 3 of those went to Chattanooga's way. They played pretty darn well. They're firing on all cylinders. I think Darren's got that team going real well this year. It's going to be tough to stop them in the OVC. Again, the weekend was really fast. I loved the way our team was adapting. We changed plans at least 2 to 3 times between Wednesday and Friday when we left, and just to see them be able to adapt and find a way to relax at the court, so we didn't have to leave, so we were there whenever we were needed. Stepping out of the court with some energy, that was a really good thing. So overall, weird weekend, but we got some good things out of it. We got some good things going into this bye weekend, things to focus on. So that is where we're at.
Yeah, that's always it's always exciting to have to adapt to weather. I mean, I think the Southeast kind of got ravaged. I know we had Sunday schedule adjustments because of the same thing, and so what I can only assume was the same storm that hit you on Friday and Saturday eventually got to us on Sunday. So it was definitely not ideal, but that is part of our sport, and so I commend you and your squad for going out there, getting the dub, battling against Chat, and then being like, all right, I guess we're going home.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird feeling, but Caleb ran the tournament very well. He was very in tune with what all the coaches were wanting and what we were able to do from there. The AD ended up making the call on Saturday to cancel it on Friday earlier in the day. And I guess I got to talk to him on Saturday again, and he's like, yeah, we didn't get any weather until about noon. I was like, oh okay, well, maybe it was a little overreaction, but I'd rather keep the team safe.
Yeah, that's always better, right? Especially because you're driving, so it's like, maybe we get our match in on Saturday morning, but then all of a sudden you're doing the drive, down the highway in the mountain, and in that little mountainous northern Alabama, southern Tennessee area can get dicey.
Even coming back Friday night, we ran into 40+ mile an hour winds the last hour of the drive, which made it about an hour and a half long. So,
yeah, because you're driving a wind sail. Yeah. I mean, when passenger van, we had those same this weekend, and it's like super tall. I was getting into the right lane, and my wheel was turned left because I was still changing lanes. The wind was blowing us over to the side, and I was like, this is ridiculous, man. I was getting like wore out.
You tell your players to use the wind when they're playing games. We use the wind when we're driving vans.
Amen, and we're good at it, darn it. So I'm glad you and your team made it home safe, and hopefully you enjoy a little bit of an off weekend. I'm sure the girls will. They'll enjoy getting a free weekend to relax, catch up on homework. It is mid-season. It's probably shortly after midterms if I had to take a shot in the dark, and so get that opportunity to get a little reprieve during the run and gun of our season. We're doing the same thing. We came off a four-match weekend. Like I said, Saturday kind of went off without a hitch. We played College Charleston. Drove down in the morning, got a nice conference dub. Always love beating those teams. Got them 4-1. Then we played the University of South Carolina. It was kind of fun, right? Obviously, I went to South Carolina. Our assistant coach, Sarah Blomgren, also is a South Carolina alum. It was alumni weekend. So a lot of our old classmates were in town, which was really fun to see them, especially gals from the beach team who were coming back. And it was alumni weekend for the beach volleyball team. So it was pretty much all beach alumni. But it was fun to see them, and then we actually got the nightcap on Saturday against the University of South Carolina. We played a little bit of spoiler for their home weekend, so we beat them. The score on the website says 4-1, but if you dig a little bit deeper, you'll see 15-13, 15-12, and 15-11. And 15-9 for them the other way. So I think we split the first wave, the 4s and 5s. We split 1-1. And then the 1, 2, 3, I'm sitting with our 1s. Sarah is sitting with our 3s, and Chase, our student assistant, is sitting with our twos, and it was almost like bang, bang, bang. Like the threes were down, I don't know, like 11-8 or something like that, and
Okay.
came all the way back to win 15-12.
There you go.
And they win 15-12, puts us up 2-1 in the duel. And Sarah Bloms comes running over. She's like, "Where do you want me?" And I'm like, "Bloms, it's 14-12 on this court and 14-11 on the other court. I'm not sure you're going to make a big impact on either bench right now." And literally, she like asks where I want her. She sits down on the bench next to me. Our ones pair proceeds to serve, pass, set, put it away. Almost immediately after, free ball on the twos court, pass, set, put it away. Game over, 4-1, and it probably ended in 45 seconds of each other. So it was super fun that way.
That's awesome.
It's a really, really fun. I will. It was a little bit of fun to play spoilers. I know Moritz listens to the podcast. When I found out that they had a little party planned for you for 200 wins, and we didn't let you 200, it made me smile just a little bit, buddy. I love you. I love you dearly. And I am so excited to celebrate your birthday, which you're going to hate me saying in a public forum as well. It's coming up this week, but it brought me a little bit of joy for that. So that was really great. And I've mentioned it a couple times on here before, but we are a super young team. Mm-hmm. And so we did a very young team thing, which was we enjoyed our win, and we probably did not prepare ourselves as well as possible for the next day. And we came out against a really good UNC Wilmington team who had pretty much done the same thing we had against South Carolina. I think they played 4 third sets. Wilmington came out on the bad end of all the third sets. We were playing 5 across because of the weather. We delayed our day, so we were supposed to play at 9. We wound up playing at almost noon, I think. Damn. And so we played 5 across, and we played 3 or 4 third sets against Wilmington. We happened to lose 4-1, right? Yeah. And that's a good team, and it's a conference team, and you want those conference dubs, and they want those conference dubs, and they got it done. And so obviously that one sucks. You're kind of like, okay, now I'm on my 4th match of the weekend, Eastern Kentucky, 5 across again, and we didn't come out prepared, right? We did not prepare ourselves to be successful against Eastern Kentucky, and Jeff and T did a great job prepping their team to be successful against us. And another little, like, I'm going to keep bragging because that's all I got to do, right? It's a confidence thing, but it fires me up when people are excited to beat you.
Yeah.
Like, I hate losing. I hate it. There's a little bit of joy of being a team that people really want to beat. Yeah. And like, when you see the Instagram post of like first dub over Coastal Carolina, it's like, okay, we're one of those teams. Like for me, I don't ever want to get texts when I beat somebody.
Yeah.
Because no, I expect our team is that good. Like we should hang with anybody, right? None of these wins are like unfathomable.
Yeah.
And so when people are excited to beat you, I think it's a good sign, right? It means you're doing something right and you're in the right position. So I want to shout out EKU because they played steady and they did an awesome job. And I do wish them success, especially now that they've beat us. I want them to go dominate the ASUN with with the exception of Austin P. I want them to dominate. But that's a really fun moment, and so good for them. I'm happy. We played a bunch of third sets against them. Yeah. Team probably played 10 to 11 third sets over 4 matches. Jeez. I think it's a lot of learning that's going to take place, and for conferences like us and for teams like ours. We're trying to win 4 games at the end of the year. Yeah. Like that's the gist, right? And so if I got to go take my lumps in March, then I'm happy to do it.
Do you put any weight in going 5 across? Like, does that help you guys towards tournament time when you guys have to go 5 across? Like, understanding that you weren't prepared to do 5 across until the weather kind of forced the hand. But do you put any weight into, all right, this is how we can train better, this is how we can coach better, this is how we can kind of adapt for that situation?
For sure. I think it's important for our athletes to like have that experience. I think they do use the coaching crutch pretty regularly. It's one of the reasons that I don't really like coaching in the fall. Like all of our fall tournaments, I pretty much just watch and evaluate. And then there are some spring tournaments that I try to encourage the teams to figure it out on their own. Maybe in some, I still want our team to win, and so I probably don't do it as much as I should in the spring because I want to take a dub, and I think I have some information that can help them.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a lot of value in having to be like, oh, I have to figure this out. This is on me to solve this problem. And so I think from a training perspective, we like to do like we call it like imitation games, but essentially you're playing a game as another team. Mm-hmm. And so, usually when I first introduce it to teams, which this group hasn't done a lot of it, so this was an early introduction for this group, but it's like, all right, hey, you're going to pull something out of a hat. And when they pull it out of a hat, it's something super simple. Like this team only runs from the pin, or this team likes to swing, or this team only goes cross, or something along those lines. Right. And you play an entire game with that tendency, and the other side has a tendency. And so you have to execute your skill to beat them while they're trying to figure out what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And they have to execute their skill while you try to figure out what they're doing. And then you're adjusting your defense to make that play. And that's how volleyball works. That's the entire point of the game. So I think that is definitely a training piece that we want to continue to do. But sometimes you got to be there, right? You got to do the thing in order to figure out how to do the thing.
For sure.
And we learned how not to make a light bulb this weekend. We will attempt to make a light bulb in a week when we play Mercer at our conference mid-year.
Yeah, so pretty easy week this week talking about our week 5. I'm going to be sitting on my couch watching college basketball. You are going to be?
I will be going undefeated this weekend. No, actually, I can't say that. I forgot. I'm taking the indoor team up to Campbell on Saturday.
Oh!
So the indoor Shants are headed up to Campbell for a little spring comp. We got Campbell and another team for sure.
Steve just can't get enough of you, can he?
I love helping him out. I love being around that group. And why would I pass up another opportunity to drive a 15-passenger van, Michael? When I have this chance to spend time with people that I care about and drive a 15-passenger van, have the athletes in the back of my van take over my Spotify. Did you know that was a feature?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's called Spotify Jam. So for all athletes listening, if your coach likes to play their music and they use Spotify, you can open up your Spotify app and you can join their jam and you can queue up songs, skip songs.
I'm cutting this right now.
Yeah, I learned that fun fact in the fall, and they reminded me of that fun fact earlier this week when they found out I was driving a van. So
that's fun.
It should be fun. It'll be exciting. But I will go undefeated on the beach this weekend.
There you go.
Take a loss, and I will watch basketball. I'm excited to see how the bracket that we don't bet on shakes out because it's always a good time. But around the country, there is volleyball being played, Michael.
There we go. Yeah, and, we got a couple. You mentioned the one down in New Orleans that Tulane's hosting, March 21st, 22nd. A couple other ones hosted on 21st, 22nd. East meets West. This one's in Austin, Texas. We got LMU, Cal, Arizona State, GCU, Texas, LSU, Georgia State, and FIU. So big tournaments this weekend where lots of teams. That's why you see fewer tournaments going on. The Big West Challenge happening in San Luis Obispo. I think I just had a stroke.
Oh, no, it's a great spot.
I'm leaving it.
Beautiful towns in the country. Shout out Todd and the Big West there.
Yeah. Yep. And then you got Stetson hosting their Stetson Beach Bash down in DeLand. You got Stetson, Florida State, FAU, Erskine, and PBA going down to that one. What other ones you got in the country before I butcher any other names?
Yeah, I mean, well, shoot, it's hard not to mention the Southland mid-season tournament down there in old Thibodaux, Louisiana, also known as Thibodaux, Louisiana, at Sugar Beach. Not the Sugar Beach made famous by southeastern Louisiana, but the other Sugar Beach made famous by Nichols State. You got the entire Southland Conference there, right? They'll play everybody that they didn't play. So Houston Christian already has their matches against Boise and San Jose. I don't know who everybody else designated. I assume McNeese, Nichols, Southeastern, and New Orleans all probably designated each other. Corpus had to designate something in there. And they'll all play each other on the other round to catch some conference dubs. Obviously, eyes will be on Corpus Boise, who probably they've been in the championship the last couple of years, and so you would safely think that they might be in the championship again. And so, you're excited to see that. Arizona's hosting. They got UCA, Colorado Mesa, and UTEP. I think UTEP's having some really great growth. Shout out Daniel Fu, friend of the pod.
Yeah.
And so it would be an interesting one to see how they do at that event. Michael, who's your match to watch?
I didn't pick a match this week. I picked a team. So I'm picking
Ooh.
Hawaii for this weekend. I think they got some good chances to kind of flip their season around. So I'm rooting for the Rainbow Warriors out there and trying to kind of get the season turned back around, get a winning weekend under their belts with some really, really good competition, and then hoping that carries into their conference tournament, because the Big West is turning out to be a pretty nice conference this year with Long Beach and Cal Poly up there.
Yeah. So now, out of curiosity, what would you consider a successful weekend for Hawaii?
I would say being able to really show that they can compete against Cal Poly, being able to come out dominant in their others, some 5-0 wins, some 4-1s with not as close of sets. I think that's the Hawaii that I've always known for beach volleyball, is the team that comes out and dominates, has a little bit of swagger to them. And, they step on the sand. You hope you can be the spoiler for Hawaii every once in a while. And just looking at their scores, I haven't seen any of their match film, so take it for what it is. But I haven't seen the scores that I'm used to seeing out of Hawaii, and I really hope they get things flipped around this weekend.
Yeah, I think if you're Hawaii, right, like I would agree that that's the end goal, is to show dominance. I truly think coming out of that 4-2 would be a good weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're Bakersfield, if you're Sac State, if you're Davis and Northridge, you smell blood in the water.
Mm-hmm.
You are like, ooh, this could be, and to bring it back to the EK, this could be our first match win program history over Hawaii.
Yeah.
You want those opportunities. You want those chances, and Northridge is hot. Now, Northridge is going to have the downside of playing, in my opinion, a lot of volleyball in a very short period of time. 10 matches in a week is a lot of volley. And so that'll be tough for them. But Bakersfield's shown the ability to be strong against good teams. UC Davis, you can't sleep on. They got a big rock. They've had some good performances. This will be a big test for them.
And that Big West Challenge is over 3 days, too.
Yeah.
So you're playing two matches a day, I believe it is.
Yeah, 2 a day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
Southland is doing the same thing because I think they're playing 6 matches as well. I think SFA is in the Southland now, right? So I think they might be at that event as well. But I don't totally remember how everything shook out. The SFA was a really late conference change, right? For those that don't remember, they didn't change until like late July, early August, which made scheduling for some of their sports rather difficult. But I'm keeping my eyes out East Coast again. I want to see Stetson and FAU. I think Stetson has shown that up-down ability. I think FAU has had a solid year, but they're right now sitting – they have to win their conference tournament right now. They would not be in that at-large bid category. Right now, the first team out is Grand Canyon. So if FAU were to not win CUSA, right, they would not get an at-large bid. I think some wins this weekend, a win over Stetson, a tight match with Florida State, maybe even a dub over Florida State, which I know they're hunting for. I think that puts you in that at-large category. I think they probably have a stronger resume if they do that than LSU does. I said it. I said it. I meant it. Here we go.
And I think that is a big thing on a lot of people's minds right now, is who's going to get those at-larges, because not as many of those really like perennial teams that are in the tournament have the opportunity to get the automatic bids, because CCSA isn't doing their conference. Big 12 doesn't get one, I don't believe. So
nope.
You got a lot of teams bidding for at-large bids right now.
We're staring at 8 auto bids.
Jeez.
We're staring at 8 auto bids, and out of the top 14 schools, only 1, 2. Sorry, let me count real quick.
Yeah, you got it.
3.
Cue the Jeopardy soundtrack.
only 3 of the top 14 schools are going to be auto bids.
That's crazy.
Right. You've got your MPSF champion who, UCLA, USC, Stanford, flip a coin, take a pick. You got your WCC champion, which is probably going to be LMU. I mean, you never want to speak it too early, but
If
you
they
feel
don't
like
win it, they will be getting an at-large, and they will ruin someone else's dreams.
I don't know though. That's a crazy, crazy loss right there. And then we've got the Big West champion. So Cal Poly, Long Beach State, one of those two. Other than that, Texas, CCSA, they need at-large bids. TCU, Big 12 needs an at-large bid. Arizona State needs an at-large bid. LSU would need an at-large bid. Grand Canyon is in the MPSF, so barring a pretty fat upset there, they would need an at-large bid. Same thing with Cal. So FAU is the next highest conference champion, ranked 14th in the country. But them, UNF, Stetson, they're all kind of in that range of like, hey, if we don't win this thing, we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
And so FAU is going to have FIU, who they've already taken a loss to. They've got Tulane, who's playing well. I don't think Conference USA is a conference that you can just call UAB. I don't think you can call that a signed, sealed, delivered conference.
Yeah.
And so I think you got a chance, and that's why Stetson FAU is my match of the week.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, great talking to you again. Enjoy your time off. Maybe next week we come back with some more brain power, better show. But looking forward to it.
Yeah, appreciate you, Michael. We'll see you soon.
See ya.